And with the 7th pick in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Philadelphia Flyers have selected Matvei Michkov from SKA St. Petersburg in Russia. Gil Martin here alongside with our prospects expert, Hadi Kalakeche. And we're now joined by Rachel Donner of Locked On Flyers to talk about this selection. And Rachel, did you think that Michkov would still be available here at 7?
I knew it was possible, but I didn't think it was likely. Like, I probably gave it about a 30 to 40% chance. And then with the Flyers, you never know, even with him sitting there, were they going to take him? And like, Danny Briere is a different animal, I think, than your past Flyers GMs. And he's like, yeah, we're going to take the risk.
Mm-hmm.
Hadi, what do you think of this pick, and where do you see his skill set shining the most?
Yeah, I mean, leave it to Danny Briere to take the undersized but very, very, very skilled player who can shoot, who's better at 6 feet around the net than anyone I've seen in this draft. That's very Danny Briere, isn't it? It's just very good at lifting pucks up from down tight around the net. Works the net front really well as well. He has this kind of sixth sense for danger and knows exactly when to hit pockets of space to shoot. There's nothing in terms of his skill set that screams elite. His shot in and of itself in a vacuum, it's not the most powerful or accurate shot. He's not the most refined. He's not the type to do behind the back, spin around passes or anything like that. But there's an efficiency to his game that just really puts him up there with Connor Bedard and Fantilli in terms of skill set. Just the way that he utilizes his skills, the way that he blends them together. The amount of Michigans he scored against men in the KHL is just... You're getting a high-octane offensive player in Matvei Michkov, and for me, this is the steal of the top 10 so far.
And Hadi, what does he have to work on to get his game to a solid NHL level at this point?
I'd say just not being a defensive liability, because you're never going to get an above-average defensive impact from Michkov. You're just not. It's not a style of play, but just getting to a point where he's not hanging his team out to dry. And another thing I'd say is probably just the because we saw it when he was playing with SKA in St. Petersburg. He was running on adrenaline and frustration because he knew that this would be his only shift of the period. He was playing 2-3 minutes a game. Just getting comfortable, not changing his game, and based on how he feels, but just letting his skills shine through and just playing the game like he's going to be back on the ice in a minute would be something that would help out a lot. His move to Sochi really quelled a lot of doubts because then you saw the real comfortable, confident Michkov who knew that, I'm going to be back on the ice in a minute and a half. I don't need to shoot from the corner and try to score. It was just a different mindset that he had. And I just want more of that and less of what we saw in SKA.
Rachel, what does this pick say about the way that the new front office is going about rebuilding this Flyers team?
Yeah, I think this is a really good situation for the Flyers here because with Michkov potentially unavailable for 3 years, although in his post-draft interview, he hinted he might want to get there sooner. I think that, that's perfect timing in terms of the rebuild and, when you want to insert a high octane, skilled offensive threat into your lineup. You want him to come over when there's enough around him to support him and make that transition seamless and not have him be like the only guy out there that the team is depending on. And so I think that's where I appreciate the pick too, just from, a forethought perspective. And, he did say actually post draft in his quote in the interviews kind of backstage when he was asked, is he excited to be a part of this rebuild? And he says, I guess that means we'll start winning when I get here. And I love that kind of confidence. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's one thing I got to add is everyone who spoke to him at the draft, every team that spoke to him at the draft was really, really high on his mindset, on his mentality, on his comfort, in interviews. He needed a translator, but everything he was saying was spot on in terms of what teams need to hear. So, yeah, no, a lot of the doubts about his character and all that were really, really quelled at the draft and the interviews that led up to it.
Yeah, and I have not seen a fan base this excited about a Flyers draft pick and collectively happy with the pick itself in a long time. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, no, this is the reverse Cam York Caulfield situation that occurred a couple years ago. No, really, it's just it's great for Flyers fans. This is a great pick and someone to
Absolutely.
be really hopeful about.
Well, looks like things are looking up in Philadelphia. For more on this selection and all the Flyers' other moves around the draft and free agency, tune into Locked On Flyers for free on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.